So in this lesson, we are going to move on to the next variable that makes up your intrinsic motivation for change in this formula. And that is the variable BD. So to explain what that is all about, I will go back to a book from one of my favorite authors, Napoleon Hill, written back in the early 1900s. And in that book, Napoleon Hill talks about having a want for something, a want for a goal, a want for a change in your life. My terminology, and the one we used in the previous two lessons, has been a fantasy. And it's like he's stating, a want is really just a fantasy. Often when I work with people and I ask them who in the room has a goal, everybody will put up their hand until I start sharing with them the 6 golden rules of goals that we shared in the previous lesson. And the truth is that many of us believe that we have a goal, but it's actually just a fantasy, actually just a want. And there's no real power in want. You see, everybody wants better things. We all want to live a better life. We all want to have more money, better relationships, better health. But just because it is a want doesn't mean that it is actually a goal. As Dr. Phil in the American programs also said once, even your dog wants a better life. Even your dog wants more food. Dog wants to play more with you. But just because it wants certain things doesn't mean that it is a goal. So what Napoleon Hill says, he says the power and in this scenario, and things really start changing. When you start changing a want into a desire. Do you have a real desire to create this change in your life? And you might want to say, yes, I do, but I'm going to challenge you on that. And I'm going to ask you to really investigate. Is this change something that you truly desire or something that you want? What is the difference between the two? Well, I have found that when we desire something, it is because it's something intrinsically that we want for ourselves. The why is clear, and it's something that we've identified for ourselves that we really want. When it is not a desire, but instead a want, then that usually comes from an outside source. So, for example, if enough people tell you that you need to change something in your life, you might decide that it is time to create that change, but it wasn't really something that came from within you. There was no real big why for that change. It was more to appease other people. So be aware of that and ask yourself, this change, is it something that I really desire for myself, or is it something that I want because it's come externally from someone else? And then we go a step further, and Napoleon Hill in his book goes a step further and says, you know what, even a desire is not strong enough depending on the size of the change you want to create. And he takes it further, and that is where the BD in this specific variable comes from. And the BD stands for turning a desire into a burning desire. Now, what does a burning desire feel like for something? I'm sure we've all felt that at some stage in our lives. Just an absolute knowing within ourselves, an absolute desire. It's almost all you can think of is creating this change for yourself. We've all experienced it. If you've ever been in love, and especially those first few weeks, those first few moments of being with your partner, you have a burning desire to be with that person. It's almost all you can think of. Nobody has to remind you to think about it. You wake up in the morning and that person is on your mind. You go to sleep and it's the last thing you think about. Now, I'm not suggesting you have to be absolutely obsessed with the change, but it has to be a real desire, a real strong want. And why does it have to be that way? If you remember what we spoke about on the other side of the equation, the variables and the factors that create resistance, we identified that those things are pretty big. And those things are a real hurdle on our way towards creating change and towards going for the goals that we want. So in order to overcome that, all the variables on the internal motivation side need to be high. And one of those is the burning desire. Think of top athletes in the world. They, from a young age already, had a burning desire to become the best. That's all they thought about. They slept, they ate, every action about them was about becoming the best that they could be. In the same way, top business people, they are clear on what their goal is. Top actors, top professionals in almost any field have a very clear picture, vision of where they want to go. And that is coupled with a very strong burning desire and the determination that nothing will take this goal away from them. Nothing will prevent them from creating this change. So in this lesson, I'm going to invite you to be really authentic and honest with yourself, because that is where change takes place. If you find that the burning desire isn't as strong as it should be, that could be good news, because that means it's something you can work on. We don't have the capacity for it maybe in this micro degree, but in the further courses on this, we are going to discuss how to increase this burning desire, as well as what are the factors that decrease the burning desire. And once you have that insight, it can really change everything for you. But for now, I invite you to go onto this page and once again go and rate yourself on a score from 1 to 10. Where currently is your burning desire for this change, for this goal that you have now set? Where is it lying? From 1 being no burning desire at all. It's almost like it's not even a want. It's just something you felt you have to do. You've been told enough by people now that it's time to change. You've decided, yes, I'm going to create this change. That is where the New Year's resolutions come from that don't work. Is every year people tell themselves, this year I'm setting a resolution that I'm going to change my health. But it doesn't come from the right space. So they might do it for a few days and then they stop. So have a look at it. Score yourself from a 1 being there's really no desire, not even actually a want, to a 5 being it's sort of turned from a want into a desire, but it's not a full-blown burning desire yet, to a 10 out of 10, where you can say this, for me, is a full-blown burning desire. Go and rate yourself in this area, and when you are done, we'll be ready to move on to the next variable in the next lesson.